Welcome to Find Myself Free, the podcast. I'm Ellie Young, alcohol-free life coach, mom, and athlete. I'm dedicated to helping others change their relationship to alcohol by sharing my journey of transformation. Fascinated by my own capacity for change after decades of gray area drinking, I'm passionate about sharing what I've learned from neuroscience and positive psychology to help you break free from the drinking cycle and unlock your true potential. Hear my personal stories of triumph and struggle as I navigate raising two boys, finding myself after 40, building a business, and doing it all alcohol-free. From women's health and cycle syncing to fasting and biohacking, this podcast is your roadmap to a healthier, purpose-filled life that starts with changing your relationship to alcohol. It's time to embrace change, find balance, and create the life you were meant for. Welcome to Find Myself Free. Hi, if you're new to my podcast, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And before we get to the show, I wanted to personally invite you to my balance challenge. This is a 28-day challenge to learn the art of cycle syncing to balance your hormones. After getting alcohol-free, I found cycle syncing, which is supporting the ebb and flow of your hormones with nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle. I found this to be a North Star in my healing as it put me back in touch with my body and brain and allowed me to feel better in my 40s than I ever did in my 30s. As a woman who wants to empower other women to go alcohol-free, balance their hormones, and heal years of cellular damage, I created this challenge to share the top strategies I've learned over the last 3 years that have me feeling mentally and physically better than ever. At 43, no joke, I wish I had learned how to do this sooner. So if your interest is piqued, share this with a friend and go to findmyselffree.com and sign up for the balance challenge together. There is strength in numbers, and who doesn't want to balance their hormones? Am I right? It's only the single biggest thing impacting your health in your 40s. Share this with a friend, and I can't wait to meet you there. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Find Myself Free. I'm Ellie Young, your host, and today we are talking about your end of summer reset, the hormone edition. Now, I get it. Summer is filled with parties. It is filled with barbecues, travel, you name it. It can be pretty hard on our body, which is really funny because we're often trying to get in our best shape for summer, and then we kind of let it all go because often our brain believes that vacation and summertime is associated with like pleasure and reward. And we think that means treating ourselves with alcohol, treating ourselves with food. And I will get into that whole mindset of believing that alcohol and food are rewards. And often we are left not feeling our best. We are bloated. Our skin is a mess. We've gained weight and we just feel yuck, right? Mentally and physically, we want a reset, right? And we keep putting it off. We're like, okay, I'm going to start my diet once the kids go back to school. I know most people, a lot of moms are waiting for their kids to get back in school so that they can have the free time, they can have the focus and the energy to be like, okay, I'm going to start eating clean. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to start going to the gym, going to the class, whatever it is. We put a lot of pressure around this idea of a cleanse, of a reset, and a lot of it is stemming from a place of deprivation. I'm going to deny myself these foods. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to make myself work out hard. And it becomes very punitive. Like, you've been bad. I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of your body. I don't like what I see when I look in the mirror. I don't like how I feel mentally. And then we go on this like strike of like, we're going to kind of punish ourselves in this way. And it doesn't come with any sort of compassion or any sort of intuition about listening to our bodies. We often have no clue where we are at in our cycles when we start a diet, and we aren't paying attention to what our hormones really, really need. And so that is what I'm going to get into today. We are going to be talking about mindset and how to shift it from a place of punishing ourselves, depriving ourselves, to nourishing, to listening, to tuning in and giving ourselves what we need. And then we're also going to be talking about how do we actually do that? What are the tools you can use to tune into your body? And that's when I'm going to get into cycle syncing. And we're also going to be talking about movement. How do you shift your mindset again from a place that is, I have to work out or else, because it's coming from a place of fear. We're afraid that if we don't work out, we're not going to like our body, that we're going to get fat, that we're not going to lose the weight, right? To a place of, wow, I get to move my body in this way. I appreciate my body. It feels good. I am looking forward to the positive biochemistry that is released when I do this movement. And also movement can also be like connecting to friends and others throughout throughout the movement. Like, I honestly, working out is one of the number one places that I socialize is when I'm hanging out with friends. Um, and then we're also going to be getting into stress management. Okay, so that is like priority number one. And again, a lot of times when we go into a cleanse or a reset, it comes with a lot of stress. We're putting a lot of pressure on our bodies. We are not looking forward to it. We, again, are associating it with deprivation. We associate food and alcohol with reward, with treating ourselves, with celebrating. And then any opposite of that, any diet, and I don't like that word, so we're going to replace it with nourishing. Um, any sort of version of this becomes this like energy suck. It's a place where you are relying on willpower, and willpower is going to fail you because it is a finite muscle and a finite resource, and it's often stemming from a place of fear. What will happen if I don't do this thing? And that energy is really, really, really depleting. So we're going to get into the mindset here, and I've kind of already been talking about it, but first off and foremost, like, any motivation to go into a cleanse or a detox or a diet is often because we don't like what we see. We're disappointed. We're not happy. We're frustrated. And if you are in perimenopause, it is like an added layer of like, I don't understand anymore. The same things that used to work for me aren't working. I'm trying all the things and I'm still can't lose the weight, or I'm gaining weight and I'm bloating and I'm carrying weight differently in different places. And that can just be so demoralizing when you are trying your hardest and it's not working. I'm also going to speak to women that are on Ozempic right now because I believe that there is a way to hopefully, and I would love if you are on Ozempic and you can DM me and you are curious about how to balance your hormones while being on Ozempic, because I completely understand the temptation and that there are people that desperately need this drug to right size some imbalance in their system, and that it just is so easy. It seems like such a shortcut to be skinny and to get to a place for something that we've worked our whole lives for, right? I totally understand the temptation to want to try that, to not want to do all the other work that it takes to lose weight and to manage yourself. But I do fear that with Ozempic, if you are just not eating, if essentially it is just kind of like um, a prolonged fast where you're just not eating, and you're depriving yourself of a lot of food because you're just not hungry, I do fear that you could suffer from some extreme hormone imbalance. I do fear that you could suffer from extreme muscle loss, because when your body goes into that type of deprivation, it does rob your muscles, and instead of fat. And so it's different than when you intermittent fast, where you train your body to metabolically switch, where you train your body to use fat as your energy source. I know a lot of women in my community in particular who are on Ozempic, but are continuing to drink. They're not eating, and they haven't adjusted their lifestyles in any healthy way. They haven't really taught themselves, one, how to nourish their body appropriately, how to eat adequate protein that you need, um, and additionally, how to just nourish your hormones and balance, how to eat enough fiber, how to eat enough healthy fats. All of these things are so key to your overall health and your overall nutrition. But again, if you are on Ozempic, I would love the chance to work with you and to try and because I know motivated, like beyond being skinny, you are motivated to be healthy. You are motivated to have longevity and to balance your hormones and feel your best. I understand too that there's such a mental health piece to feeling skinny, that you are happier if you have lost weight, and that you feel like you look better in your clothes and you're leaner, right? We believe we are happier. But again, if our hormones aren't balanced because we are robbing our body of the nutrients that it needs to produce the protein, the hormones that we need for balance, that affects our mental health too. So I would love to like work with you and just see like, hey, can we put you on a plan of hormone balancing while you're on Ozempic, and see if we can really fine tune it and make you feel even better. Okay. Hit me up, DM me if that's something that interests you. But mainly the mindset piece here that is so, so important for women to kind of get into is that we have fought the weight loss battle our entire lives. And it is always coming from an energy of like, you're not enough, you don't look skinny enough, and you need to do these things that are really hard on your body and hard on you mentally in order to achieve this result that is often unattainable, right? And so we are just punishing ourselves. Food becomes the enemy, and our confidence like hangs in the balance on whether or not we can like adhere to a diet or not. And I would like to shift your mindset into a completely new place where it's just like the goal is hormone balance, because the hormones are sitting at the top of a hierarchy within your health. Cortisol and insulin are the two most important hormones. They sit at the top, and they literally affect every other health system in your body: your bone health, your mental health, your gut health, your cardiovascular health, your metabolism. Everything starts with a chain reaction stemming from these hormones. And so if you're not working on hormone balancing, what are you even doing? Often we're working on these symptoms that are way downstream, and we're trying to improve those without going up the chain to the more important ones. And that is more about a holistic lifestyle change than any sort of diet or nutrition thing that you can change. It is really about shifting your brain into a place where like, I'm going to take care of you. I am going to nourish you. I'm going to love you, and I'm going to appreciate you. Because as women, because we have cycles, we were not meant to diet the same all month long. We have different nutritional needs throughout the month. We are not men. We are not meant to operate on a 24-hour cycle like a man. That is a man's hormone peaking and rising and falling is testosterone. That's a man cycle. We have a monthly cycle where our hormones peak and decline. I'm going to show a little picture to my Instagram live people. Here is your monthly cycle. You can see hormones are relatively low at the beginning of the month, and as they start to build into ovulation, all of the hormones are peaking during ovulation, and then they dip low again. There's this tiny little window in your early luteal phase where the hormones go low again, and then progesterone gets to be the star of the show in the back half of your cycle. But estrogen additionally is rising in tandem. These are supposed to offset one another. They are supposed to work together, and this ratio in particular is where a lot of women suffer, especially in perimenopause. Perimenopause is marked by a decline in progesterone. Let me see if I can find my other slide here that I'm going to be showing. This is in my balance challenge. This is perimenopause. This is essentially what happens in your 40s. All of a sudden, you can see that progesterone just takes a big drop off. That's perimenopause. Estrogen declines on a much slower rate, but it does decline until it's almost obsolete in your like early 50s-ish. But this ratio between the estrogen and progesterone is what we suffer from when we can't balance those. And unfortunately, it is our nutrition that is causing lots of estrogen disruption. It's creating a lot of the bad estrogen in our bodies. And then if we're drinking, our liver can't detox that excess estrogen out of our bodies, so it creates estrogen dominance. And then additionally in perimenopause, because that progesterone has just dropped off, it just further exacerbates that gap. And that is where we suffer. That is where we experience gnarly symptoms that most women just chalk up to being like bad PMS. But it is completely avoidable, and we can manage it through nutrition, through stress management, through movement. Game changers. And again, That is why the mindset shift here is not about just like, I want to be skinny. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to try all the tricks and all the supplements. I'm going to take those up. I'm just trying to lose weight and be skinny because I think that's where my happiness lives, is in when I'm thin, right? And don't get me wrong. I am the same person. I would love to be 10 pounds lighter right now. But at the end of the day, anytime in my past when I have been lighter and I've managed to lose the weight and I've done it, and it's come at such a cost to me mentally. It's come at such a cost on my family. It's come at such a cost to my self-esteem, to my relationship to my body, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just not sustainable. What is sustainable is when you shift your perspective and you are coming at it from a place of like, I want to build longevity. I want to eliminate much cancer risk in my body as possible. I want to feel mentally the strongest I've ever felt. And I don't want to believe that this next decade of my life, I'm meant to suffer, right? If you see any of the marketing around perimenopause and menopause for women, it's often like, oh, we're crazy, we're drinking wine, we're taking pills, and everybody's just unhinged, and there's just the crazy lady, right? That doesn't have to be. We do not have to fall victim to that anymore. And so some of the biggest mechanisms that we need to get out from under are the drinking alcohol to cope, is the like hustle culture that is telling us we need to just eat less, work out harder, and then try the next diet trend, or take a pharmaceutical and inject yourself with something that we really don't know what's going to go on with that, right? We really can't trust it, but it's just so tempting for women because they're just like, I just want to lose weight. I fully get that. I totally understand that. But like, we need to back up and look at the whole picture, your whole health, your mental health, the example you're setting for your kids, especially if you have daughters, right? The relationship you have with your food, the relationship you have with your body, the relationship you have to movement, right? And so how do we do this? How do we actually shift into this mindset and then start to follow something that actually makes more intuitive sense, that is really about tuning into what your body fully needs? And this is called cycle syncing, okay? So because our hormone cycle varies throughout the month, getting my another guide here, we have different nutritional needs all month long. Each of these hormones, but we're really focusing on estrogen and progesterone, do better under different conditions. And so what's great about this too is that you're never in one phase too long. I actually break this out into 5 phases. Do I do 5 phases? Yes. 5 different phases for my clients that are in the Balance Challenge. And if you want to get in the Balance Challenge, my next one is coming up September 9th. You can get in now for early bird pricing. But go to my website. It's called the Balance Challenge, and it's even better than ever, you guys. But this is what you get when you're in there. You get your calendar, and I help you customize each phase of your cycle. And again, these are phases. These are windows throughout the month where you're going to be focusing on a certain hormone and a certain nutritional lifestyle. So, and movement will be particular to this. Everything changes, right? We are meant to ebb and flow. And the best part about this is that it never feels too long. It never feels like, oh, I can't do that, because it's just like, eat low carb in perpetuity, like forever, never have carbs again. Like, no, this is like for these first 10 days of your cycle, estrogen really thrives in a low carb or a ketogenic diet because it loves healthy fats. It wants blood sugar to be low, and you can actually tolerate more intense exercise. So we build up for those first 10 days while estrogen is on the rise, and we do this phasically. And then we eat really like individual foods that are responsible for boosting estrogen. Now, a lot of people get really confused with estrogen because they're like, wait, is estrogen bad or is it good? And it's like, estrogen declines as I age. Don't I want to have more estrogen? But yet there's all sorts of bad estrogen foods that act like estrogens in the body, and those cause cancer. So it's like so much confusion. I go super deep into this in my Balance Challenge, but we want to nourish the good progesterone in our body because estrogen has a lot of jobs in the female body. That is why menopause sucks for women, because it has like over 400 jobs in the body and it just goes away. It just disappears as we age. And look at this chart. So this is our age range here, and you can see estrogen just goes boop after your 40s and 50s. It just kind of goes goodbye. And that's why we suffer so much, because estrogen is really heart protective. It is bone protective. It is cognitively protective. And so if you need to be supplementing it, so we can supplement it with nutrition. And then as you get closer to menopause, you should be supplementing it with going to see a doctor and actually getting hormone replacement therapy, because those jobs need to be done. We need estrogen. So just telling us to suck it up is not a strategy anymore, right? So we focus on the diet, we focus on our stress, and we focus on the phases. How do we cycle our nutrition, our exercise, our lifestyle, the energy with which we socialize, that with we work, the way we plan our meetings? This is all inside the Balance Challenge. I go really deep on this, and I help you sync your cycle to your lifestyle, to your world. And the amazing thing about it, the reason people have so much success with it is because it feels right. Because you are working with your body. You are not working against it like we've been doing our entire lives. Basically, anytime I had low energy, anytime I was bloated, I would go into this place of like, oh, it must have been something you ate. You need to push harder. I would never listened. I always thought I got to go more. I got to do more. I got to dig deep and push through that. Instead of being like, oh, wait, you are actually in your late luteal phase and you need to dial back the stress. You need to actually eat more carbohydrate. You need to nourish progesterone. So cycle syncing is like a North Star. It is like your compass. You pay attention to your cycle all month long. You know your phases. I have you highlight the different phases so you know, and you can also plan ahead. If you have a meal kit, you order the meal kits to support that particular nutrition that you're going to be focusing on. If you have workout classes you want to pre-book, if you have travel, if you have work events, you sync up as much stuff as possible with this as your compass, with this as kind of like, it is informing your behavior. It is informing your lifestyle, and you will feel so much better because you are in sync, because your whole body has more integrity, because everything is in alignment instead of you working against it. You are nourishing the hormones, and the hormones need particular nutrition to thrive. It is like your body is basically has all these cells all throughout all the different organs, and they are reaching into the bloodstream going, we need to make progesterone right now. They are reaching in blindly, trying to build this protein that's going to help you make this particular hormone. And if it's not getting what it needs, it's like it'll try to build a shoddy infrastructure out of the bad material that you've given it. And so that's where we get disruption in our body. That's where we get inflammation. That's where we get chronic disease. And so that's why the nutrition piece is so important. You want to build a body out of the good nutrition that you're giving. I had never really even thought about it like that before. Like, I always thought healthy food was really just like food that helped me be skinny. I never thought about nourishing myself. I never really thought about like nutrients, right? And like that my body needs particular molecules in order to build certain things, in order to do certain functions throughout the body. And that is why the alcohol piece is monumental for people to learn just how destructive alcohol is to your body through and through on a cellular level. It disrupts you on a cellular level to the point where your cells can't function. They can't do their jobs. They can't build what they're supposed to build. They can't do the thing. It just creates inflammation. It creates disease. It creates insulin resistance. You name it. Every metabolic disease, alcohol is a key contributor. And if you can't quite get into a place where you're like willing to cut that because you still believe alcohol is like, well, I don't drink that much and I only have a few and it's only on special occasions, I challenge you to question those thoughts. Question why you still think alcohol is a reward when it's doing all these things to you, when it is essentially working against every other goal that you have. Question that. What voice is the loudest? When I even hint that cutting alcohol would be a good idea and you feel resistance right away, you're like, well, I could never do that. That's only for people who are alcoholics. People have a problem, right? What is that voice telling you? Where is this arbitrary line that you've drawn in the sand that says like only those people should quit alcohol? It's not about whether you have a problem or not. That is an unnecessary question to ask. The question to ask is, will I be more well without alcohol in my life? The answer is 1000% yes. Yes. And you will feel amazing. You have to retrain your brain to understand that reward, that celebration, that joy, that connection, all of these things can be found without alcohol. You are just really out of practice and you haven't done it. And that's what I'm here for. So I've got you. I can help you get through all of this. It all starts up here in the mind. All right. It is not like, yes, it feels like this physical deprivation early on because you haven't done the mindset work. When you do the mindset work, it's like a light switch goes off and you are free. You are free of the craving. You are not free of the awkwardness of trying to navigate being an alcohol-free person in a alcohol-soaked world. It is endlessly awkward, but you get used to it. You get over it. People are weird. People say all sorts of weird things, and people are very curious because, honestly, you stand out. The rest of the world isn't doing this. Why? Because it's really, really hard. Culturally, we are married to alcohol, but it is enemy number one, especially to women's health. So I put a lot of time and energy into it. It's like I've made it my mission because I want women to wake up. I want us all to feel better. I want us all to celebrate this decade of life and not be drowning in like the pain and discomfort of perimenopause and menopause and then drinking alcohol to treat it, drinking alcohol to cope. It's not working. And if that's you, get inside my balance challenge, you guys. I will kickstart this mindset shift that needs to happen for you to be looking and feeling your best in this decade of life. It will change everything. It'll change everything you think about food, your body, alcohol. Complete game changer. Some of the things that we do focus on inside I don't know how long I've been talking here. 24 minutes. All right, I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer because I got to get my kids out of the house. Couple key things I want to mention nutrition-wise that we focus on that are going to be like, it's so confusing. There's so many diets out there. You don't know which ones work for you, like blah, 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 blah. In perimenopause, the number one things to focus on that I put a ton of energy and like I try to make it as simple as possible for you guys inside the balance challenge is we focus on 5 things. Hitting your protein, hitting your fiber, probiotics, antioxidants, and healthy fats. Those 5 things, when you are building a plate of food, you're going to try and hit those things. And inside of those 5 things, we need them to be as clean as possible. Unfortunately, our worlds are extremely toxic. You have to work really, really hard to get good food around here. I know, even as I thought I was doing a really good job. I still find products all the time in my house that I'm like, damn, that has fragrance, that has natural flavors, that has, the processed seed oils. So you have to work really, really hard at it. And so I don't want to overwhelm you in the beginning by being like, here is a laundry list of things that we should try and cut out. You just do it onesie twosie. You start really focusing on whole, clean, fresh food. We eliminate alcohol. We eliminate inflammatory oils. We eliminate processed grains. And we eliminate sugar. Sugar and fruit. Okay, that's fructose, but like added sugar in things. And again, sugar is another really hard one to eliminate totally and completely. I know I've had a very hard time of it myself. Try and keep it under 25 grams a day, 25 grams of added sugar a day. That's reasonable. If you can get less than that, you're just crushing it. You're crushing it. If you are a non-cycling woman and you want to join my balance challenge, I have got you too, because technically you are not cycling, so your hormones are not fluctuating, which is actually awesome. You can be doing what's called metabolic switching, and that is something I teach you. I teach you how to fast and really stimulate that muscle of metabolic switching from carbohydrate burning or sugar burning into fat burning. This is a muscle you want to be training, especially in perimenopause and menopause, because that is the thing that kind of tends to go haywire when estrogen starts to go on a dip. Okay? When estrogen dips, your ghrelin goes up, which is the hunger hormone, and your leptin goes down, which is the hormone that tells you you're full. So it's like this perfect storm of like, I'm hungry and I'm not full and I'm overeating. And that creates all this insulin resistance in your body. So basically your cells don't know what to do with all this excess blood sugar. So it stores it as fat. And then we're really stressed. We're like, we have high cortisol. We're not sleeping great, which creates more stress. We're drinking wine, which creates more stress and more estrogen in our bodies. It is a perfect storm, you guys. And there are very simple and very clean ways. You're literally like one decision away from making everything easier. And it starts with what? Cutting the alcohol. I know. It will improve everything so much when you cut that out. Okay. I digress. I want to get back to the next phase of your summer reset is going to involve movement. And again, mindset shift here. We are shifting from have to get to. We don't have to work out because we are afraid of what will happen if we don't, right? I used to operate with that energy all the time. I was so uncomfortable if I couldn't work out because I was just like, I'm a bad person if I can't work out because I can't right all the wrongs that I did yesterday, all the alcohol I drank, all the bad food that I ate. I always thought that the food that it was going to like even me out. Like I needed to exercise in order to feel worthy, right? And I punished my body no matter how I felt, whether I was fatigued, whether I was sore, whether I had a hangover. I was just like, nope, you got to hit it. And that energy was just, it came at such a cost again. Now I move from a totally different motivation. I move because I'm so grateful that I get to, right? And I'm so much more in tune with my body. And I build it in so many different ways now because it's not just about being skinny. It's more about now blood sugar management. It's more about cortisol management, right? Movement, when you flex your muscles, it pulls blood sugar out of your bloodstream without you actually having to use insulin. So anytime you have carbohydrate, if you can make yourself go for a short little walk after your meals, it's going to reduce that blood sugar spike by up to 30 to 35%, I think is the statistic. That's insane. That is a really significant amount if you can do that. Another trick here is to make sure you eat your fiber and your protein and your fats before you have your carbohydrate. That will slow, again, the rise of the blood sugar, which again, you could eat the same amount of carbohydrate, and whether you eat it in the beginning of your meal, whether you eat it in the end of the meal, it will spike higher if you eat it at the beginning of the meal. So we want to coat the stomach with the fiber, with the healthy fat, with the protein, which is going to satiate you. So hopefully you eat less of the carbohydrate, less of the sugar at the end of the meal if you're having like a dessert. And it'll also lessen the spike of that sugar, which is great because it's going to reduce cravings later. And it will, again, less insulin is required. It's just overall so much better for your health because high blood sugar spikes are at the crux, again, of all sorts of metabolic diseases. So I have a huge background in diabetes and blood sugar management. I worked for Bayer Diabetes Care for over 10 years. And I worked with patients wearing insulin pumps and checking their blood sugar. So my background comes from hanging out with endocrinologists, internal medicine doctors, and dietitians for a decade, helping patients manage the blood sugar. So I even wear a continuous glucose monitor occasionally. This is the Freestyle Libre. So when I am going to do the balance challenge next month in September, I'm going to wear this so I can talk more to my clients about what it's like to wear a continuous glucose monitor and to learn from it. It's an incredible feedback tool. So something I highly recommend, and I can dive in deep with you if you are a one-on-one client as well. Whew, I'm talking a lot. The last piece of this puzzle, you guys, is stress management. Stress, cortisol, that is the hormone that is released when you are under stress. Stress isn't all bad, right? We need cortisol to actually motivate it. We have a little rise in cortisol at the beginning of our day. It helps us get through things. We experience a little rise in cortisol after working out. Again, there is certain levels of cortisol that are good for our body that help kickstart certain mechanisms. A lot of the immune system and whatnot in our body need cortisol, right? But when we are chronically running on cortisol because of just runaway thoughts, runaway stress, pushing, it's really, really bad for us. So what happens again? Cortisol when you experience a boost of cortisol, when you like freak out, when you get really, really stressed, your liver releases stored glucose, sugar, into your bloodstream, assuming that you are in danger, fight or flight mode, right? And it's like, phew, we need energy. Let's release this stored sugar. And what happens though is like often you're not. You're just sitting at your desk, you're driving in your car, you're angry, whatever it is. And your body doesn't need that sugar actually right now. And so what happens is it comes along and it ends up storing that excess sugar as fat. So if you experience a cortisol spike, if you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, the best strategy is movement. And it doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to be a big workout. It can just be a quick walk around the block. It could be some sunshine. It could be some jumping jacks. It could be some air squats. It just has to be some sort of movement that's going to help you pull that sugar that just got released from your liver out of the bloodstream and use it to fuel your muscles, right? Use it to fuel that movement so it doesn't get stored as fat. A lot of information here, and you guys, I know I got really pumped and excited today. I'm not sure why, but I'm fired up about my new balance challenge. It is better than ever, and it's going to be launching. We're running it September 9th. I'm waiting, letting everybody get through their Labor Day because I know that's kind of the last hurrah of summer, and people are like, I can't until my kids are back in school, until I'm done with this holiday, I'm done traveling. I get it. Those mindset things are things we will tackle in the balance challenge so that you can start to say like, guess what? There's never going to be a good time to do a cleanse. There is never going to be a good time to cut alcohol out of your life. You are in constant barrage of temptation and opportunity. It's just the way our worlds are. We start with the mindset work so that we understand that alcohol is not a reward. Food is not a reward. What is a reward? What does our brain and body really need, especially as a woman in her 40s? What do you really need? And when you start to reset it like that, when you start to walk it back and be like, I haven't ever actually asked myself that in a really long time. I just stay super busy. I try to diet. I try to work out really hard. And then I drink wine as my reward. And it's like Groundhog Day. That's how my life used to be. And now it's like doors are open to so many new experiences, to such a different life. I'm learning more about myself than I ever have. I'm more in tune with my intuition. I'm asking more of myself and creatively in like an exploratory way. It's like the world is my oyster. The amount that I've changed in the last 3.5 years from being alcohol free blows my mind. And I want that for you. I do. That's why I do what I do, because it's so fulfilling and it's so purpose driven. And I want to shout it from the rooftops. I think every woman should be doing this stuff. So come join me. I would love to have you in the balance challenge. DM me if you have questions. DM me if you're on Ozempic and you want to learn how to balance your hormones while you are on Ozempic, okay? Because that is a lot happening to your body all at once, and I would love to work with you. So thank you guys, as always, for being here. And you know how I say it. As always, I am with you. Let's go. Hey, you've just listened to an episode of Find Myself Free. And if some part of this left you wanting more, if your curiosity has been piqued and your intuition is telling you, I'm ready for more, then check out my coaching offers at findmyselffree.com. I have the Brave course to help you break free from booze. And I designed this course with the exact lessons that led to my transformation. I also have the Balance Challenge for those ready to learn the art of cycle syncing to balance their hormones. If you're looking for additional support and to take either of these programs to the next level, I also offer one-on-one coaching. Now, I worked with a coach for 4 months at the start of my alcohol-free journey, and it made all the difference. Being able to talk to someone who knew what I was going through and could help me navigate my new world gave me a foundation of support I could build on. And it's a big reason why I'm a coach today. I want to help others find their freedom and level up their health. If this sounds good to you, connect with me at findmyselffree.com and set up a call. Listen to your intuition that is telling you you were meant for more. I am with you. You got this.